Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, hoist the mainsails, here I come. Ain't no room on board for the insincere. You're my witness, I'm your mutiny. I was born to rock the boat. Some may sink, but we will float. Grab your coat, let's get out of here. You're my witness, I'm your mutiny. Long ago we laughed at shadows, lightning flashed, thunder followed. They could never find us here. You're my witness, I'm your mutiny. I was born to rock the boat. Some may sink, but we will float. Grab your coat, let's get out of here. I'm your mutiny. Long ago we laughed at shadows, lightning flashed, thunder followed. They could never find us here. You're my witness, I'm your mutiny. You're my witness, I'm your mutiny. There's something in the air tonight. It's taking over and hitting just right. Oh, oh, don't it feel good? Yeah. Yeah, we're singing this simple song. And if we do it right, they'll all sing along and go. Whoa, don't it feel good? Yeah. Anytime life is getting me down, just a little tune can turn it all around. You know I wouldn't change a single thing if I could. Yeah, if I could. And don't it feel good? Oh, don't it feel good? Yeah.
No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white
Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? Isn't it gorgeous today? So happy to see all of you here. I'm Reverend Tracy and delighted to welcome you into this community of love and support and fellowship. This place where we come to remember just the magnificence of who we are. Even on the days we don't feel like it, it's still true, and we're here to remind each other. So thank you all for being here. Let's wave to our friends that are online that watch us every week. In their pajamas, sometimes on the couch where we're not. That's okay, because what we know is that in spirit there is no distance, there is no time, there is only consciousness, and that is who and what we are. So we're happy to have everyone here taking part. And let me tell you who's playing with me on platform this morning. As you can see, our practitioner this morning is Diane Clemens. If you haven't already, you need to mark your calendars, plan on being here on July 28th for service and the reception afterwards, because our own Diane Clemens is now a practitioner emeritus, meaning she has been doing this for 20 years. So congratulations to Diane. It's actually 21 years, but that was a bookkeeping error. So we're celebrating this year. And what that means is, first of all, she does not have to renew her license. We figure after 21 years, she knows what she's doing, and it's just kind of who she is. So we're golden. And it just means that when you are able to live this philosophy as simply the way you live, to remember it a little more quickly than some of us do in tough situations, when you're there to be present to someone who needs your perspective on something, then we celebrate, and that's what we'll be doing on the 28th. So do plan on coming. We'll have some special things during the service. We'll have a party afterwards, and who doesn't love a good party for such a lovely reason? So do that. Yeah, there is an RSVP sheet on the back table that gives us a head count, so you'd hate for us to run out of food, right? So let us know if you can come. And if you're bringing people, we have some outside guests coming, some folks that maybe you know from your past that will be also coming to celebrate with us. So if there's more than one of you, just put the number of people that'll be there with you so we can get a good count. All right, and for our music this morning, we welcome Reverend Drack. On the keyboards, he donates his time to us once a month, once every other month, and provides us with a lovely musical selection that he writes himself. So we'll be enjoying that momentarily. So for right now, let's take a moment and get more centered as we are wont to do. I know you're all centered and grounded and everything already, but we'll go within anyway. So I invite you to take a moment, take a breath, and let the sound of the bowl take you within. And breathing into that heart center, that space within you which knows love, which knows peace, which is undisturbed by the outside world. That place of the heart, your sanctuary. For it is here in this place that we remember the truth that you and I and Spirit are one.
As we continue to be still, let us savor this holy moment. We know that we are one with our source. We dwell in absolute unity. We acknowledge that God is the source of all, and there is all there is. God is all there is, and since God is all there is, we are God. We are already perfect, whole, and complete. And the light of God is in our wonderful Claremont Center. And the wisdom of God streams out from our minister. And our service today is so blessed. We are grateful for this beautiful service today, and we call it good. We're grateful for the wisdom that we will receive today, and we call it God. And we release this word, and we call it complete. And so it is. Today's reading is taken from 365 Days Earnest Home. It is God that girdeth me with strength and maketh my way perfect, so says Psalms 18:22. My body and every part of it is made of pure substance, God. It cannot deteriorate. This is the infinite substance within me, which is constantly flowing through me, takes form in the likeness of perfect, whole, and complete cells. Every cell of my lungs strong and healthy, filled with life and vitality, strength and cleanliness. I am now made vigorous and hardy. I have the stamina of the infinite. I am sturdy and robust. I am fortified with God's perfection and right action. I am hale and able-bodied. All of the life of the universe is my life. All of the strength of the universe is my strength. All of the power of the universe is my power. Every breath I draw fills me with perfection, vitalizes, upbuilds, and renews every cell of my body. I am born in spirit, of spirit. I am spirit, made manifest in this instant. My body is spirit in form. It knows no time, it knows no degree, it only knows how to express fully and instantaneously. And then, before I introduce our wonderful musician, I just wanted to make notice that I can actually step down a stair without falling over, and that's all thankful to Reiki.
I could listen to that all day. How about you? Let us know when you do your CD track so that we can take this home with us. Okay. So there was an event yesterday. If you saw the news, it's been a long time since someone has found it necessary to make such a dramatic demonstration of their opinion. And just in case you were off the grid, there was an attempt made to assassinate former President Trump. I have an essay this morning that I would like to read. It was actually written before this, but it is in light of our, shall we say, very dynamic and somewhat divisive political situation. And while I am very conscious of not speaking politics from the pulpit, it's not my position to do that, what I do know is that each of us in our heart of hearts has a set of values that we live by. And I am pretty certain that in this room and in our online audience that we are not about violence, that there is always a way forward that allows us to move forward, to rise up, to be better than we were yesterday. And we know that violence is not the path. So I light the candle today for the story of love. And this essay is written by Carrie Newcomer. She's a singer-songwriter. She's an author. She writes essays. If you know Parker J. Palmer, he's an educational guru of sorts and a poet. They do spiritually progressive workshops and events together. So she's one of our people. And this is what she writes. I believe it is time to be voices of love and reason, voices for loving our neighbors, voices for love of justice and fairness and empathy. As weary as I am pressed forward because without voices that keep speaking aloud, this is not normal or good or fair or in line with our deepest, most powerful values. The amplification of the extreme voices goes unchecked and so accepted as valid political thought. I want to say aloud justice and fairness and kindness, especially to those most marginalized, is what real love looks like in public. I do my best to stay in dialogue, to be the change I want to see in the world, but there are times when silence is implied consent. And so I weigh daily when it is time to speak, time to listen, time to ask open, honest questions, and time to simply say, no, this has nothing to do with any philosophy of love I know of. Let us remind one another that it is good to listen and stay open, and that it is also good to tell the story of love as we know it. We are called to use our voice for love, for truth, for kindness, for compassion, for peace, whether that's in a private conversation, whether that's in response to an event such as yesterday's or an event in our own neighborhood. We are called to see the world with spiritual eyes so that we might be the light and bring the healing that is being called for. And that's the power of who we are, especially together. So don't be shy. Speak your truth, not as a combatant, not looking for a fight, not trying to convince or sell anyone, but simply as a way of shining a light in the darker corners of the world, simply as a way of showing your heart to be the power that it is, to be the love in the world that we are meant to be. So our topic this month is exploration. You know, summertime we travel, we go on road trips, we try to take our guests someplace interesting that we never go to because we live here. You know, we're always looking for new things because we are energized by new things. And today our journey takes us inward. The title is The Button Jar. How many of you had one of these in your house growing up? maybe your grandmother's house, maybe you still have one. How many of you sew? I have like 8 buttons in my house, except for this jar, which I brought specifically for today, because I don't really sew anymore. And how long has it been since you let something you wear out so that you had to replace the buttons? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so my grandmother had a button jar. Now, mind you, she couldn't really sew. That was her sister, my Aunt Jean. But my grandmother could sew on a button and fix a zipper. You know, she was good. She had other skills. But she had a dressmaker a few blocks away in the same neighborhood, and she would take her dancing dresses to shorten or lengthen the hem, depending on the style of the day, or her everyday clothes or her fancy clothes, to have them sometimes refreshed just by taking the old buttons off, putting new buttons on, and putting a different scarf with it or a brooch or something like that. And so there was this idea that Dolly, that was her dressmaker's name, Dolly could make anything new again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass these around, and I'm going to ask you to pick a couple out and just hang on to them for the whole service. So that'll give you something to play with while I'm speaking, so that you won't have a chance to doze off as you are no, you're not. You don't do that. I can see all of you. I know you don't do that. All right, so just one on each half here, Mickey. And just pick out 2, 3, whatever. We're going to use them a little later on. Take a couple, pass them back. If you have one that's like really, just, there you go. You guys can just keep passing them, and then, there you go. And then, Mickey, when you're done, you can just keep them in the back of the room there. Make sure Ed and Sean get some. I know, right? Yeah, we're not going to play that game because we would be here all day and then I wouldn't get to talk to you about such important things. But always good. Well, you know, you can come back later and get more if you want. I don't need them at my house because remember, I don't sew. The whole jar, okay. Yes, they are. That's part of the talk later on. Hold that thought. Yeah. You know, and the thing about buttons is that they tell stories, right? My grandmother could tell me where the buttons came from, right? Oh, that was on my suit when I worked at Jorgensen Steel, or that's from one of my dancing dresses. So every button had a story. And it made me think of quilting. We have a couple quilters in the room where scraps of fabric are put into one larger piece, sort of an overview, a larger picture of someone's life. My Aunt Jean used to make rag rugs. She'd take my uncle's old shirts, tear them into strips, use a giant crochet hook, and make latch rugs there, or make crocheted rugs that we could look at the colors and say, oh, there's the blue and white work shirt he used to wear, right? So it's the tapestry, the fabric of our lives that are contained in things as simple as button jars. Now, what is a button? I looked it up. It's something that is used to hold together different parts of a garment by slipping through a slit or a loop. Okay? So a button, if you look, wait, we've got buttons on the floor. We'll pause. Button down. Button up. Are we good? Are we good? Leave it. Leave it. Keep the basket moving, kids. Come back to me. Come back to me. All right, everybody's, look, we're having a conversation over which button to pick. I love it. I love it. I know better than to give you toys to play with during service. I know, right? It's okay. All right, everybody got something? All right, hang on to them. Mickey, don't forget to pick yours. All right, so a button is defined as something that's used to hold together parts of a garment by slipping through a slit or a loop. And the word itself, if you break down its parts into the origin of, into the language parts of it, it actually means something that pushes up or thrusts out. Something that pushes up or thrusts out. And so I, of course, went to the button jar we have within us. We have all of these stories within us. And as you know, you or someone you know and love can come by and push your buttons. Oh yeah, see, I knew you'd get it. All right, so the thing is that our buttons, our personal personality buttons, fasten us to our past, right? They hold us, they connect us together with the things that have happened previously in our lives. And whether that's a positive or negative experience just depends on what meaning we give it. If it was something traumatic, we're going to see it as negative. So, somebody comes along and says something a certain way or does something a certain way, and we're right back in the trauma, and we're mad at the world and impossible to be around, and it has nothing to do with here and now. We've had our button pushed. We've been attached to something that happened in our past that may or may not be relevant today. If it's something negative, you think about it, something happens today, you have a conversation with someone that just runs in your mind. Oh, there's the loop that the button is stuck in, right? You replay it in your head. You wake up thinking about it. Maybe you can't even fall asleep because you're still going through what you could have said or should have said or want to say or won't say but really want to. We repeat that old tape of what it means to us, what it meant to us at the time. And when we talk about healing the past, when we talk about integrating, becoming more healthy emotionally, what we talk about is what happened to us in the past in that context does not necessarily match who and where we are today, right? The kid that makes the decision never to be friends with girls again because some girl was mean to him in second grade is going to suffer in his relationships, not because he's not capable, but because that button is fully installed and fully functional. Any girl is a bad thing. Any guy is a bad thing. Any relationship is risky. And it's not based on who we are now. So this idea of getting triggered, of having our button pushed, of having things replaying in our head over and over again, that's showing us where healing is needed, where there's an opportunity to grow, where there is a way to become more balanced, to become more conscious. Because the thing is, these triggers some of them are conscious, some of them we know. I know exactly why I don't want anybody to tell me no. And I still don't like it when people tell me no. But I know about it, and I have a choice in how I respond to it. And I think most of the time, I choose a more positive way of responding than my initial reaction. So it's conscious. But when you agree that a lot of our triggers, a lot of our buttons are unconscious, we just do what we do. We just do it out of habit. It's just what happens. Every time my brother, blah, 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 blah. Every time at work they tell me da, 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 da. Right? Click, you're on. And it may not even be what you want. Now, there are all sorts of triggers, okay? What about that beautiful song that takes you back to your graduation day or your wedding day? What about your friends who say a catchphrase from your college days that puts you right back in that feeling of life is open before us and we're having a good time and we're doing it together? We have triggers that take us back to milestones in our lives, or maybe it's something that reminds us of our own expansion. I have a particular, at the time it was a tape. I have a particular cassette tape that takes me back to my very first trip to the pine trees and the wooden cabins at Asilomar, my first Science of Mind retreat. And I hear that piano music, and I'm up in that little room looking at the trees right outside my window. Those kinds of buttons we want to keep. Those are the things that enrich our lives. Those are the things that support us in going forward, because we know we're loved. We know we belong. We know we're connected. We know who we are. But then there's the buttons that trigger fear or shame or anger or resentment or resistance or worry or blame. That's where the healing is required. That's the call. Dennis Merritt Jones, the author, says that when another person pushes our buttons, perhaps the gift they offer us is an invitation to practice tolerance, non-judgment, or patience with ourselves. Because a lot of those triggers teach us something about ourselves or make us think something about ourselves, whether it's true or not. Here's the thing. Buttons always outlast the garment they came on. Right? I have some beautiful round post earrings that are actually Italian metal buttons. They're gorgeous. They're works of art. I have no idea what they were originally used on because they've been repurposed into this jewelry, which is beautiful. We can do the same thing with our own buttons if we are willing to let go of the garment it came in on, to let go of the story it's attached to. Not so much that those things didn't happen, as much as they might mean something different to us today if we look closely. Like what happened to us brings us somewhere. It's shaped us. But you're all here. You've all survived. We're all thriving in some areas of our lives. So something in that event has actually gifted us with our own power, our own self-awareness, our own ability to move forward, our own ability to see the big picture. Ernest Holmes talks about healing. And he says, it's not the particular negative experiences we've gone through in the past that destroy our happiness, but rather our emotional reaction to those experiences carried in the reservoir of memory. And I don't know about you, but my reservoir is pretty deep and dark in some places. Many people suffer complete defeat without having really been defeated. Others succumb the first time anything goes wrong. He goes on to say, almost invariably our negative reactions to life, our unhappiness, and perhaps most of our physical disorders are based on unhappy experiences that are buried, but buried alive in our memory. Yesterday can have no reality to us other than our reaction to it. It can have no real existence of its own in today other than as its lengthened shadows of yesterday. It's another way of saying that the things that happened that stopped us, that hurt us, that caused us to question our own worth, they happened. But are we still living out that same meaning without examining it? Are we still telling ourselves we're not enough without actually looking at who we are and what we're able to do? Because we are enough. It's not our spirit that needs to be made whole, he says. It's our mental reactions to life that need healing. These mental reactions are both conscious and subjective. In other words, some of them we know about, some of them are hidden. Successful mental treatment, as in spiritual mind treatment, as in prayer, must neutralize negative reactions on both conscious and subjective planes. Mental healing is accomplished not through a coercion of consciousness, but through its illumination. How many of you were ever able to stop crying just because Dad said to stop crying? You can't coerce through your mind your emotional responses. Now, you might have learned to cover it up or hold it in, and you probably have an ulcer today. But truth is, if you shine a light on it, you know, when your mom would come around and say, "What's going on? What's wrong? Are you hurt somewhere?" And you could shine a light, you could understand what was happening. Lo and behold, the crying would stop. And that's still true for us today. We're just our own light holders. You know, you got the little flashlight up here, you got to shine your own light. Or you come to the center and I tell you. Or you talk to your practitioner and they pray. or you read good books, or you play with your grandkids and they set you straight. Because you know they know what they're talking about, right? Yeah. So, we have the ability to release the old story, the old garment, and refresh our outlook, refresh our understanding, look for a new meaning, a larger meaning, a deeper meaning. Hey, my dad was like this. It made me feel like this. No, what did I learn out of that? Well, I'm real good at reading the room and deciding where I can be most helpful. Oh, pretty cool. That's a good thing. I can appreciate my growth. I can understand that I am stronger, that I have more awareness, that I have moved through something. It's a practice, though, right? Those of you that have been in therapy know that you talk about your mother, and then 5 years later you're back and you talk about your mother again. It's funny how it doesn't completely go away. But that's okay, because when that button gets pushed again, the first thing is you won't go quite as hard down the rabbit hole. The second thing is you know what to do. You know you can release the old story, refresh the garment, in other words, refresh the meaning of it. And if you don't know what it's going to take to heal it, you can simply release it to right action. I know life is for me. I know I can trust how things unfold in my life. So if this is up again, if this is being pushed at me, right, if this is being thrust out of my being into emotional mess in front of me, I can know that whatever this is, there's a right way forward. Whatever this is, there's a way to understand this in a greater way. I can learn about myself and do better. I can know more. I can get help. I could be my best self even now, especially now, because I'm not in the same place as the first time I talked about my mother in therapy. I'm in a new place. Paulo Coelho says, if you're brave enough to say goodbye, if you're brave enough to let go, life will reward you with a new hello. We talk about that all the time in Science of Mind, right? You make a little room for something new to come up. I don't want all my relationships to be argumentative. I don't want all my business dealings to end up in court. I don't want to have to fight my way through life. Oh, well, if I don't fight, there's room for something different to happen. It could be
That was easy.
easy. Anybody have one of these?
That was easy.
Yeah, exactly. You know when I got mine? A group of women, you don't know, I'm going to tell you though, and it's not even in the talk. A group of women got together to learn about money and investing. It was called the Bag Lady Blues Workshop because most women are afraid of becoming bag ladies at some point in their lives. Doesn't matter how much money you make, where you work, how you do it. You know, at least this was 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know how to invest. I don't know what all that stuff means. I don't know what financial planner. I don't have a financial planner. I got a checking account, and there's nothing in it. So this workshop was built all around that. And so we would get together once a month and go through our receipts to see where we were spending our money. This was just part of becoming aware of what life was for us, minus the stories we told ourselves about how thrifty we were because we weren't. So we'd get all our receipts, we'd all sit on the floor in the living room of our house, and every time we made an entry, we would hit our easy button. And I'll tell you what, money's a lot easier than it used to be, and I really think that button had something to do with it. We can change the story. We can change the results. We can change the garment that we wear that we call life. We don't have to stay in the same one. We can make room for something new. Now, you have a lot of buttons you can choose from. How many of you are really good at hitting the panic button? Maybe you only hit the panic button when it's about your kids. Maybe you hit the panic button when it's about your health. Maybe you hit the panic button when it's about politics. Or money. Money's another good one, yes. How many of you have a reset button somewhere in your consciousness? The one where you unplug and just take a break and then come back, right? You may not remember you have it, but it's there somewhere. You know, and a lot of times our reactions are on repeat. Those conversations you wake up with, it's a loop, right? It's in your head. It goes around and around. What about this? What about this? What about this? But you forget you also have a pause button and a play button and a skip button. I don't recommend skipping your feelings, but I do recommend skipping the story. What can we do for ourselves to expand our understanding and not stay stuck, not stay fastened to what's holding us back? It's a conscious choice we have which button we push. So now we come to the buttons in your hand. I want you to take a moment and look at the one that's prettiest, the most beautiful one. All right, so your most beautiful one. And in your mind, I want you to attach some positive trigger to it. This button reminds me of my happiest whatever, my best experience, my deepest joy, my favorite song, my favorite kid, my favorite quote, whatever it is. So you have your happiness button. Now, one of those other buttons is going to be what catches you, what triggers you. So I want you to close your eyes, have your hand on that trigger button, and ask yourself in your life, what's in your life right now that makes you jump to fear or blame? What instance, what conversation, what word, what experience throws you into self-judgment, into shame, into blame? What conversation do you have on repeat in your head? All right, now I want you to close your eyes and imagine with me that you are standing in front of a wardrobe, a closet, a portable clothes closet. And on a table to your right, there's a pair of scissors and there's two boxes. One of the boxes is labeled quilt fabric, and the other box is labeled compost. So when you open the doors of the wardrobe, inside there's a shirt hanging. It's a shirt you used to wear. It buttons down the front. I want you to take that shirt out, take it over, lay it down on the table and look at it. Now this shirt is very constricting. It does not fit you anymore, even though you try to wear it every so often. It's a shirt that you wore in that bad relationship or in that stifling job or in that place you lived that you just hated. And if you turn the shirt over, maybe there's a word on the back. And on the back of your shirt, maybe it says something like unworthy, bad parent, not enough, can't. You know, you wore this shirt for a long time. So turn the shirt over and let's take the scissors and cut off the buttons. Just take them right off the shirt. Now you can't wear the shirt without buttons. So the shirt can go in one of two places. You can throw it into the box that says quilt fabric because you're going to use it as part of a piece of your whole entire life. Or you can throw it in the compost box where it will decompose and become fertilizer for something that blooms, because that's what compost is, it's fertilizer. So that experience will either fertilize your growth anew, or it will simply become part of the picture of your whole life, not the only defining moment of your life. Now that old button in your hand and on your imaginary garment can be put somewhere. That button can go on something beautiful that you wear now, a new experience, a new relationship. That button can go into your art room, into your craft pile to be incorporated into a three-dimensional painting with beautiful buttons, or it can be turned into jewelry, something that you do with crafting. Or maybe those buttons go on your altar as a remembrance of how much you've grown. There's a new meaning and a new story in these buttons now. And you can feel how you move more freely in your life, how you flow, how you dance, how you gain greater understanding. And so I want you to open your eyes, and as you look at this button now, see it in a new light. See it as having power in its new meaning to show you, to remind you how far you've come. How easy it is to let go of what constricts you and repurpose it for your growth, for your joy, for your love. And if you have trouble thinking of yourself in those terms, then pretend like you're thinking about someone else. What would you tell a good friend who's telling you how restricted they feel, how held back they feel? You would tell them, you know, I see something in you that's greater than that. I've seen you show up in a greater way. I feel your love and your compassion for the world, for me. And then realize you're talking to yourself. This is the truth of who you are. So when that button gets pushed again and that old story pops up, revisit it, recognize it, and then let the new meaning once again show up. Realize that life is still for you, that there is still divine right action taking place for you. Ernest Holmes says that we all have the ability to transcend our previous experiences and rise triumphant above them, just as soon as we stop persisting in the old mental reactions. We have this power within us. And with love, all the buttons in the jar are beautiful because you are. Namaste. All right, and join me in prayer. Take a moment, close your eyes, breathe in. Find that place of peace within you. Whether it's a loved one's face, your favorite pet, find that place in you that knows peace, that knows love, that knows gentleness. For it is in this place that we live, and all we have to do is remember that it's there. I know that this life is a life of power, of good, of wisdom. I know this is a life of love expressing as joy and compassion, as laughter, as connection. It is all good, for it is all God, by any name. And whether I'm walking in nature or holding hands with a friend, or performing my art or using my skills, I am of this power of life, and so is everyone in this room, everyone within the sound of my voice. The power of the creation of life is within each and every one of us, and it is good and very good. And in this library of experiences that we all walk through, there are many, many books, each with their own chapters, each one telling a story. And as I remember, as I am the creative power in my own life, as I am the author of my own story, the meaning, the intention, the ending can be rewritten at any time. And so I speak my word for clarity, for wisdom, for compassion. And as I extend that to my friends, my family, my experiences of life, I remember too to extend that to my own heart. That right where I am, love is. That in every word, thought, and deed, love is. And that where there is darkness, my love brings light. And for this, I am grateful. Grateful for the light I shine, grateful for the light I see in those around me. For I know that the power of love and the power of light overcomes darkness. That we cannot help but be healed, to recognize our own wholeness, to see it in others, to move forward with understanding. Telling a new story, creating a new life, understanding meaning at a deeper level. For this is our practice, this is our philosophy, this is our chosen way of life, and it is good and very good, and so it is. In your program, you'll find our affirmation. I invite you to repeat after me. I recognize emotional triggers as my path of healing. I pause and choose my response from love. I am grateful in every moment. And so it is. So take your buttons home with you and put them somewhere and remind yourself that you hold the meaning yourself. You hold the meaning. All right, we have a little more music. Let's invite Reverend Drack back to the keyboard. Thank you. That was perfect. So one of the things that we practice quite a bit here is gratitude. How grateful we are for what we have, how much we appreciate the gifts that are part of our community, and our ability to contribute. So in this time of contribution, I invite you to say with me our prosperity affirmation. How does it start? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. You know how the things of your childhood come back to you like as whole, complete pieces? I give freely, and for the I give freely, and for the sheer joy of giving. This is my very first prosperity affirmation at a CSL center, and so occasionally it pops up first. So, thank you for indulging me. All right, let's see what else we have going on here this week. Let's start by saying thank you to Jan for donating our flowers this Sunday. They're beautiful, and Jan gets to take them home. She brought them in for us. Well, she ordered them so we could enjoy them this morning, and then she gets to take them home. And you too can do the same. Sign-up sheets in the back. This week only, Wednesday night, Gateway will not be meeting. There will be meditation. Nisa will still be offering meditation in the practitioner room and online. But we are skipping this week, and we will resume next week. So meditation is at 5 o'clock in the prac room or online on Wednesday night, but no 5:30 Gateway this week. We have a class starting. It was scheduled to start this Tuesday, but we're going to move it out 1 week. Reverend Mary says we'll start next Tuesday, the 23rd. That's the Spiritual Principles and Practices class. So if you've signed up on the sheet, you can talk to Mary about the details, but basically there's still time to sign up because you know your life is better when you are in class. Do this. Yes. Okay. All right. These are about the principles of science of mind and applying them in your own life, because otherwise I'm just up here talking and then you go home and do what you do. It's more fun if you can do this too. Well, you don't have to talk, but never mind. I'll stop talking now. All right, our writers group. We are changing the format just a bit. Are we meeting this week? No?
Yes.
This week, still. I got you, yeah. So it's going to be one Thursday a month. It's going to be the third Thursday of the month because all the people in the writers group want to have lunch with the Rev right after.
That's right.
Right, which is also happening this third Thursday. So lunch with the Rev is at noon. The writers group is at 10:30 with Brad here in the chapel. And you'll share your writing. You know, you don't have to be a published writer or call yourself an author, but if you've got something that you'd like to share, this is a great place to do it. You're talking to people who love to write, who have something also to share, and we all know that we get inspired by each other. So think about coming third Thursdays, 10 o'clock for writers. 10? 10:30.
It's starting in August.
Starting in August. But you are meeting this week too?
No.
No, okay, so not till August. Okay. All right. He told me all this before. You can see that I didn't write it down, so let me try again. The writers group will begin meeting on the third Thursdays in August rather than every week, which is what we've been doing.
At 10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m. in the chapel. We got all that, right? So we'll put new flyers out, right, just so you can take it with you. And if you have written anything that you might like to share, this is a good place to do it. So plan on coming third Thursday in August. All right. This Saturday, the 20th, coming up, we have Reiki. So you've already seen results. You know it works. And even if you don't know what Reiki is, come anyway, because it'll make a difference in your life. It's a powerful energy. It's like a warm hug. It's an energy of healing that is directed towards you, for you, within you, that is amplified by having several practitioners in a room and a room full of healing energy. So that is third Saturdays. That's the 20th, right here in the chapel. I'll mention it again on the 28th. So the last Sunday of the month, we have our Practitioner Emeritus celebration. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. Yeah. All right, and that'll be we'll do some special things in the service, and the reception will be next door in the hall. So do come. Do come and celebrate with us. There is an RSVP sign-up sheet in the back just so we get a good count. Oh, yeah, that's true. There'll be people you know that you might not have seen for a while. All those practitioners that like went off and became ministers or moved and had to go to some other church or whatever they're doing, they're all coming back to celebrate. So we've invited quite a few people, and we're hoping you get to see a lot of friends, and we get to celebrate you upright. Yeah, so good, so good. All right, let's see. I think that's what I have. We have coffee next door right after service over here. We're doing great on our food donations. Thank you to all of you who are supporting the 2 shelters that we supply with non-perishable food items. Our little stack back there is kind of big. We'll get that delivered this week. And I think, anybody have anything else? All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's stand up, move to the sides of the room, and sing.
Take a look at the person next to you. We come together. We come together. We
You came down